Good evening and welcome to the Scituate Planning Board Thursday, November 16, 2023 meeting. Being held here in the library this time at 85 Branch Street. It's on Zoom via iPad and all that stuff. Do we have a posted agenda? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ian?
In accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 40A, Section 9 and 11, and the Scituate zoning bylaw, Section 530, accessory dwelling special permit, and Section 940 referrals, the planning board will conduct a public hearing at 6:30 p.m. on Thursday, November 16, 2023, in the community room at the Scituate. Hearing is an application submitted by applicant Heidi A. Condon of HC Designs to Jennifer and Rob Segarian and owner Jennifer P. Segarian for an accessory dwelling special permit for an accessory dwelling to be located in a raised and reconstructed single-family home property located at 19 Harbor Heights Road, Scituate. Property is shown on the assessor's map block parcel 50-3-3. Plans are available for view in the planning board office, town hall, et cetera, abutters and other interested parties are here. Thank you so much.
Good evening. Why don't you come to the table? Tell us what's happening.
Good evening, I'm Katie Condon of HC Design. I'm here representing Carol Holder, who purchased this property in the 80s and lived there happily for several decades. I'm also here with her daughter, Jen Segarian, and her husband, Rob, who purchased the property. Their goal is to demolish the existing home and build a new home for themselves and their sons, and also an accessory dwelling in the rear of the property for Carol. So the goal is to have 3 generations living at this property. We did provide a revised site plan, and I have a few smaller ones if anyone would like to see it. I don't know if it's easier to give you this size one.
Sorry,
Might be
do
easier
you have
to
something to
read.
do?
The November 14th stamped in site plan is the correct
This is the
one.
most recent.
I thought I sent you the electronic version.
Yeah, I have an
We
electronic
did, but
version.
we don't have a paper, we don't have a paper copy.
They might not,
You
you
have
know.
it electronically, right?
Right.
Yeah, you have electronic paper, if you want a paper copy.
So I could, Sherry told me how to do it.
Well, at least I have the large one. Is it easier if I hold it up and just walk you through?
So people watch it can see that.
Yeah.
It's dated October 4th. Different.
I have October
No, the
11th.
one, she has a new one that we.
This one here, it was revised on 10/30. If that makes sense. It's just a little easier to read than the first one
This is
that we
1031.
put in.
1031 is the revision.
10:30.
So if you look here, kind of where proposed conditions versus existing, this is the existing house. The current home does not conform to current zoning bylaws. But the new home will be conforming 100%. We are proposing that the accessory dwelling is attached to the main house. It's all under one roof. We do have, as you can see here, this is the main home for the Segarians, and then this is the accessory use dwelling. We put it completely behind the main house, and it's 1 story, so it's not only secondary, but it's really not visible from the street. We have also proposed 2 parallel parking spots right here for Carol's property. It's a 10 by 20 parallel area, and then the main house has a driveway and a garage that can easily carry, hold the 4 cars. So that's kind of the main plan. If you can look at it, the accessory use dwelling is 839 square feet, which is 27% square footage of the main house, so I'm well below the 40% limit. The entire home for the impervious additional coverage is 22%, so we are below the 25%, which triggers the stormwater permit. I'm not sure what other questions you have.
Is the impervious more than the existing conditions?
Yes. if you look on, let's see. So the existing impervious area is 3,393 square feet. The proposed impervious area is 4,138 square feet. So it's an increase of 22% of impervious. So the goal is to stay under the 25.
So how does the, well,
Okay.
whatever you, how are you gonna do this? How does the accessory dwelling, where's the delineation, demarcation of the accessory dwelling versus the primary? I see just the general plan, but.
If you look at the smaller plans, I can show you. So this right here, this rectangle at the rear of the property is the accessory use dwelling. But it's
Okay, so where
under
does
the
that
main
cut off
road.
in the actual house?
So if you look at the floor plans that we provided, you can see that it's connected.
No, I'm gonna do this.
Okay.
You have to do this.
There's a shared mudroom.
Yeah, there's a
in the
sunroom between the two
sunroom, in
spaces.
between the two things, the shared mud, yeah,
So if you
sunroom,
look,
mudroom.
if you kind of connect that to this.
Yeah.
So this is the
But this
main
is-
house. That's the new door, that's the door to.
accessory dwelling,
Yep,
so
and then,
this belongs to the primary.
yes, yes. I mean, they see it as a space that they share,
Yeah, but it's
but it's really,
really part of the primary.
yes, exactly.
This
Just
is
outdoor
part of the
terrace.
primary.
Yep, it's just, that's outside. That's just an outdoor terrace.
That's how it goes, just like that.
And then we'll have a path coming down here to this door, and that's how Carol will get
Oh,
into
so
her
this
space.
is one of their main egresses then?
Yes,
Where's the second one?
well, they can go out here.
No, from,
There's a,
Is there
there's a
another
door,
one here?
there's a door here. So this is the foyer, it might be easier to look at it here.
okay,
Your second piece, exactly.
yeah.
I found
No, I know,
That was a good
I
idea.
was just.
That's,
So then I have a door from the kitchen out directly outside, and then I have a door that can go out to this way.
Parking, you said parking's along the street, and then the primary dwelling has parking where?
So if you look on the larger drawing here, there are two parallel spots here, where, and this is Carol's path to go to the rear of the property. And then we've got two spots in the garage, and then we have this driveway.
So that's also the primary dwelling?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
I did take a ride down by this, I did turn around and did drive. It's all right. I go to everybody's house up in New York, just so we can see what it is that we're approving, so I do go to everybody's house. I don't take pictures, I think you're not allowed to do that, but I do go to everybody's house to see, wait, it's nice, yeah, okay, just so we kind of have an idea where we are. But people like to tell it.
call the police.
Call the police. Okay. Lots of questions.
I don't.
Rebecca?
I do not.
Ian?
No,
Mr. Pritchard? anyone?
Yeah, I just got
Okay.
a couple more.
Sure.
Tell me how the lighting is planned.
Exterior lighting?
Yeah.
So, we only have two lights that are high up at the eaves, more for security, but mostly everything is going to stay low. It'll be kind of the,
Down.
like little down lights, like for along the path, we'll have little umbrella lights. You know, we have lights at the front doors and they're more like lanterns. We really don't have spotlights. We're trying to keep everything low. But along the path, we want to have lights and we'll have a lamp.
So, this is relatively close, right? The neighborhood in terms of houses. So how close are you to the adjutting a bit, abutting house?
A neighbor on this side actually owns two lots. One area, so there is no house here. Her home is right here.
Other than this side?
And this guy, they're more centrally located. Yeah. So we really are not on top of it. But the
If there's
home.
no lighting that's coming here, that would be.
No,
this way,
not at all.
Or the other.
Yeah, sorry, this is the new house. So we have one light we have some lights just lighting this part of the yard.
Mhm.
There's
Okay.
just two. And it's really more for safety reasons.
No, we're generally just trying to avoid new glare on the neighbors.
Yes. As our way.
The right pollution.
The exterior lighting is really access into the house, so it's low and along the path.
And this is sewer? and-
Yes,
So sewer and water, they've already addressed.
yes, we'll have a new sewer connection. Will
We
the
got,
same.
got comments from sewer and water.
This looks like a nice addition to the neighborhood.
And then if you read the detail for the porous pavers, you know that there's a fair amount of maintenance in porous pavers. You have to vacuum these monthly.
Yes,
That's
yeah,
what, that's what the detail says. You're choosing to do porous pavers rather than opt for a stormwater permit. So it's a lot of maintenance. If you ever decide to make those, impervious, you'll have to come back for a stormwater permit.
That will be in your conditions. Your decision, would you read that, okay?
Can you see that?
That will be in the conditions of the decision, that you'll have to vacuum that and whatnot. It's a little more upkeep.
No, it won't be.
No, it's not, never mind. I'm not gonna tell you that
I
anyway.
mean, they don't need a stormwater
Oh, they don't
permit.
need a stroke.
They don't need a stormwater permit because they're doing the porous pavers, but the detail does say vacuum monthly. I'm just making them aware of the maintenance that is involved in that.
Carmen put it on the site.
Yes, I did see that, yes.
Karen, anything else?
No, it meets the requirements for an accessory dwelling and I would recommend approval.
You know what, I'm pleased that it's being done in conjunction with building the house rather than as an afterthought, an afterthought, which unfortunately seems to happen more than we care to think about.
You don't wait much to go with us.
You know what I mean? Okay. I move to make the following findings of fact. On October 11, 2023, applicant Heidi A. H. Connie of H3 Design, Jen and Rob Darian applied for special permit and accessory dwelling in a single-family home and property at 19 Harbor Heights Road to, according to the town of Scituate assessors records, redeem the property at 19 Harbor Heights Road is owned by Jennifer G. Sagarian, trustee of the Harbor Heights Realty Trust. 3, based on the floor plan submitted with the application, the planning board finds the floor area of the accessory dwelling to be 839 square feet. The floor area of the primary dwelling is 3,160 square feet, according to the application. The accessory dwelling is 27% of the floor area of the new primary dwelling. This meets the size requirements of 530.2F of the zoning bylaw for accessory dwellings, as the bylaw allows for 750 square feet or 40% of the total floor area of the primary dwelling, whichever is greater. The accessory dwelling is subordinate to the existing single-family home. Fourth, accessory dwelling unit will be a complete separate housekeeping unit, and there will be only one accessory dwelling on the lot. 5, the property is in residential A3 zoning district. The proposed accessory dwelling structure meets all the required. No, it's gonna be on the page.
On the back.
No, right here.
Two.
Setbacks, building height, yard requirements for primary dwelling. 6, the proposed accessory dwelling is to be located in the rear of the new single-family home. Access will be via doors on the east and north sides of the accessory dwelling. 7, the appearance of the accessory dwelling will be in keeping with the appearance of the primary dwelling. 8, the site plan for 19 Harbor Heights Road, Scituate, Mass. by Merrill Engineers and Land Surveyors dated October 4, 2023, revised 10/31/2023, shows the location of the new primary dwelling and the proposed accessory dwelling. The plan shows a paved driveway which appears capable of supporting 2 cars for the primary dwelling, plus the garage spaces. 2 parallel spaces of porous pavement are located along the frontage of the property, providing parking spaces for the accessory dwelling. Ample parking appears to be provided. 9, the applicant owner has submitted a signed notarized statement that he will occupy one of the dwellings upon completion of the project. 10, the accessory dwelling will be serviced by town water and sewer. The water department has commented that the existing water jet can be used. The old service must be cut and capped before demolition and a new meter inside the new dwelling. The sewer division indicated that the existing sewer line is not to code and the service should be replaced from the property line to the building with a PVC sewer service. And the property will be assessed half a connection fee for the accessory dwelling, which is currently $8,000. 11, the application meets the standards of the Scituate zoning bylaw for an accessory dwelling special permit.
Second.
All in favor? Congratulations.
No, we're not.
Hold on, girl. Just a plug to myself.
I move to approve the special permit for an accessory dwelling at 19 Harbor Heights Road with the following conditions, in addition to the standard conditions for accessory dwellings approved by the planning board after public hearing on 12/17/2015. 1, except for any changes necessary to meet these conditions, any construction shall substantially conform to plans submitted with the application by HC Design dated 10/10/2023, consisting of 6 sheets including first floor plan and partial guest house A1-1, guest house and partial first floor plan A1-2, second floor plan A1-3, elevations A2-1, elevations A2-2, in-law suite elevations A2-3, site plan 19 Harbor Heights Road, Scituate, Mass. Dated October 4, 2023, with revisions through 10/31/2023 by Merrill Engineers and Land Surveyors. 2, the number of bedrooms in the accessory dwelling is limited to 1 in the location and size indicated on the floor plan submitted with the application. 3, no further expansion of the accessory dwelling floor area is allowed without further review by the planning board. 4, upon occupancy of the accessory dwelling, the applicant shall provide a notarized affidavit that one owner is living in one of the dwelling units. A yearly certification that the owner occupies one of the dwelling units must be provided by March 1 yearly. 5, all requirements of the Board of Health, Building Department, Zoning Board of Appeals, Department of Public Works, Fire Department, and other town agencies must be met prior to occupancy of the accessory dwelling. 6, the accessory dwelling shall conform to all applicable standards in the building, plumbing, electrical, mechanical, fire, and health codes and bylaws. 7, water connection must meet all requirements of the DPW water division for the accessory dwelling. 8, sewer connection must meet all requirements of the DPW sewer division for the accessory dwelling. 9, any lighting installed shall be down lighting to not shed light on abutting properties. 10, construction work shall not begin prior to 7 a.m. weekdays and 8:00 a.m. on Saturdays and shall cease no later than 7 p.m. or sunset, whichever is earlier. No construction shall take place on Sundays or legal state and federal holidays. Construction includes idling of vehicles, delivery of materials to the site, and all other construction activities. 11, runoff from the proposed accessory dwelling shall not be increased from the property. If there is an increase in pervious area over 25%, then a stormwater permit will be required. 12, erosion and sedimentation control devices shall be installed to prevent any erosion or sedimentation from leaving the site during construction. Silt sock or silt fence shall be used as necessary and extended around the limit of work, so disturbance beyond what is shown on the plan is not allowed. 13, the appearance of the accessory dwelling will be in keeping with the primary dwelling unless otherwise required by the Massachusetts Building Code, and new exterior stairs needed to provide primary or secondary means of egress. The accessory dwelling shall be located on the side or rear of the building. 14, at least 2 private off-street parking spaces shall be available for use by the occupants of the accessory dwelling in addition to those parking spaces required for the primary dwelling.
Second for discussion.
Any discussion?
So I would say on number 4, just to be clear that it's supposed to be provided to the town planner or planning board, which one do you want?
Oh, that's later.
Town planner, okay. And then on number 11, I think we said it, maybe I missed it, but did we say that the current pervious surface is 22%?
No, we didn't. I'm just saying if it's over 25%, I'm putting the onus on them that they need a storm.
Yeah, I'm trying to be a lot more specific on this one, because this is tied into this pervious paver thing. So I guess I think we need to say something about that, the pervious paver. Pavement.
We can say currently, the site proposes 22%.
Inclusive of pervious paving, right?
Right.
And I would say site is responsible for ensuring the continuous performance of the pervious pavement to ensure the impervious area does not increase. And then I think we can say if there is an increase over 25%, we can leave that one there.
Can we change, site is responsible for ensuring that the porous pavement works as designed?
Yeah,
And we'll put that before if there is an increase in impervious area? Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Those would be my 2 suggestions.
Okay,
Second is amended.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Where are you gonna live? Why don't you take the house down?
We have a rental in Scituate, so we're gonna sign, we waited to sign the lease till tomorrow.
How about we look in the face?
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Only if you guys want another, do you want another one, Karen, of the larger?
no, I don't need
We have enough paper.
I got a lot of paper to take.
I feel like
Do you want to do your minutes?
Yeah, we have
And
to wait
accounting.
till 7 o'clock, 'cause-
Yeah, absolutely.
Someplace where we can put it.
We're not in our usual days. I move to approve the requisition of $525 to Maricourt for peer review services for Sky Sale / Dreams. $1,225 to Maricourt for peer review services for 8 Bayberry Road. For $1,250.95 to Horsey Witten for peer review services for Seaside and Scituate. For $38.94 to WB Mason for office supplies. For $134.52 to Gatehouse Media for legal ad for 27 Sherman Drive.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I move to approve the meeting minutes from November 9, 2023.
Second by Steve, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And did you liaison?
Yes, I did liaison.
Oh, well, we,
Have been home one night this week. At any rate, do we have time? We have 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Went to CPC on Monday night and we had her name for the Ellis property was in again looking for $22,000 for more work. Water on the house, it's continuous. Also too, we had, the 2 women who were representing something sale, the new possible, home for disabled people at 807 Country Way. And I told them that they really did need to come before the planning board. They were told they didn't have to, but they have to.
No, that was not what they were told.
They were told, somebody told them,
like,
No.
I hope it's straight down.
they have to come.
They have to come here, yeah.
So, that said, they are looking for $1 million from CPC toward this group home. And it would bring 8 units onto our affordable list. So,
Where are you living?
they are building at 807 Country Way,
809.
809.
It's an existing building, it's the green building, that commercial building on the left-hand side of 1817.
Before 817, right next door.
Stone wall out front.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of at the end of one.
You never drive down that way, Steve, so you wouldn't.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the
Well, on the other side of North Situate.
yes.
Yes.
That's toward
It's
Cohasset.
toward Cohasset.
Right
Okay.
next to 817.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, down by,
Oh,
yeah. the
which
one
is
by
ours,
the-
yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly.
Okay, so there's that, and then there were people in looking for money for pickleball courts.
Oh, yay.
Oh, yeah. And
Is that
basically,
Rebecca?
they're looking for $1 million and, you know, high-tech city in terms of all of that. And it was brought up the fact that the parking, the part of that $1 million is to redo all of the roadway around the tennis courts, and CPC cannot pay for that. That is external, can't do it. All
What kinds of ones?
the ones in back of gates, yes. So they have 3 tennis courts and 6 pickleball courts up there. And the tennis courts are in disrepair and need to be done,
Isn't that why we're doing the high school tennis courts?
yes, okay?
You can't, you have to do the high school before you can. do
Yes,
the others.
right. So also, this $400,000 that's flitting around left from Toll Brothers.
There's not $400,000. They used some of that money.
They did?
Yes,
On what?
the scoreboard for Central Field. So they, or something for Central Field.
But, so this discussion of trying to get some of that money to bring the price down, if they get rid of having to pave, then they can come up with you know, 400,000, these pickleball courts. And then people from James Landing are looking for $75,000 to take care of the Phragmites and some other invasive species. And CPC can't do that. And so that was that. And then I went to traffic rules and regulations, and you were there about the stop signs at Hadley Road and Tilden Road coming out of Toll Brothers. And there were people there talking about Country Way, and they want to lower the speed limit from Branch Street to Ronnie Shones to 25 miles an hour. But, and they're taking it under advisement. The thing is, it's all about enforcement. That's the bottom line. And then somebody else was there concerned about Norwell Avenue, and there are still people going the wrong way on Norwell Avenue. Thank you very much. And that's an enforcement issue. I'm so sorry about that. An enforcement issue. I mean, it is what it is. So everybody's all in a twist about people going too fast.
Well,
the good news is we got the top of the White House back on yesterday.
Yes, we did.
That was pretty great down there. I saw that on they didn't want to publicize that because it's kind of dangerous.
Okay.
So
They
I saw
didn't want
that on the
people
video.
running
They didn't want
around.
people down, yes, so private.
And then last night I went to the Housing Partnership Trust.
Okay.
I'm still trying to figure out what to do. So, am I right on that one, Sharon? Okay, so those were my meetings this week.
I was conservation, no big trips. Nothing happened there.
Mhm.
Okay, so it's 7 o'clock, so we can continue our public hearing on our major site plan review and the stormwater permit for Stearns Meadow Water Treatment Plant at 453 Chief Justice Cushing Highway, assesses map block lot 47-2-26-J. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, everyone.
How are you tonight?
Doing well. Thank you for having us this evening for a continuation of the public hearing. I'm just making sure that that gets up there correctly. Great. My name again is Steve Robbins. I'm with Word and Current Engineering. We're the town's engineering designer for this project. Joining me tonight is Wade from our office. Have a quick agenda to run through with you all. Again, we're going to public hearing, so we want to make sure the public's informed and cover some of the project background. We're going to go through some tweaks to the site layout in response to comments that we've received through this process. And we'll run through those and of course have time for public comment.
So before you start, I just want to say that we received a new set of plans today. I did not forward them to you because obviously nobody was going to look at them. But that's the big packet that is in front of all of you tonight. I did a cursory look at them today. Our peer review engineer has not looked at them.
Absolutely, but we do want to keep you informed and let you know what you can find in that packet. The Stearns Meadow Water Treatment Plant, background of this project. This project is driven by 2021 Water System Master Plan prepared by Ty and Bond. The existing water system for the town of Scituate serves approximately 19,000 people in the town with an average day flow of approximately 1.5 million gallons per day. The current Old Oak and Bucket water treatment plant is unable to effectively manage the manganese levels from the Old Oak and Bucket pond, and the design and construction of the new water treatment plant at the Stearns Meadow site was approved at the September 2022 special town meeting. The funding for that was approved, and obviously we're going through the regulatory review process, including here at the planning board. Our treatment plant performance objectives, the permitted average flow, and this is for the withdrawal from the existing Old Oak and Bucket reservoir, is 0.79 million gallons per day. The treatment plant design capacity is 3 million gallons per day. What that means is there are some days when we can take more than that permitted average and other days when we'll have to take less. The design is obviously to meet all EPA and Mass DEP water quality standards with appropriate redundancy and resiliency. Included in that is the ability to push kind of a peak flow through the plant, producing that 3 million gallons in 16 hours, and that's to accommodate staffing and also kind of the peakiness, if you will, of the demand in the system. As a building overview, it's about 35,000 square feet. It has 3 main components: the treatment process area, operations functions, offices, and a 5-bay equipment storage garage. The building itself is also subject to ZBA special permit hearing, which is at Town Hall tonight. The site layout, the only area of the site layout that has changed in any material way is in, you can see my cursor here, in the northern portion. There was some discussion at our last meeting in October about the grading and the proximity to the property line that we had in that area. We were able to revisit that, tighten up the grading, and pull back from that northern property line. Our limit of work is now approximately 90 feet, if I recall correctly, from that northern property line. We did, and I'll get to this a little bit later as well, we did look at other revisions to the disturbance in this area, and even with tightening up the grading. Right now it's a 4-on-1 slope per Scituate code for this sensitive area. Even if we were to go to 3-on-1, we're still 40 feet from the property line, so we're leaving that grading as it is. That's temporary disturbance during construction with revegetation planned in that area. And that is, this area is quite a distance from the buildings. In terms of overall timeline, we appreciate the discussion we've had with the public and the board. This is our third public hearing date, and obviously with the quick turnaround here between the October and the November meetings, that's why you have the package that you received today. Septic system, and this view shows some of what that grading is modified in the northern portion of the site. Septic system is currently being reviewed by the Board of Health. This system receives sanitary waste only from the facility. Lab waste and any emergency shower usage is stored per Massachusetts regulations in an on-site holding tank with appropriate controls and alarms that will get pumped out when it's needed. The plans are currently being updated for town review comments, which are mostly asking for some additional detail, backup calculations, and minor items. That resubmittal is in process. It should be back to the town very quickly, if not this week, next. Construction phase stormwater and dewatering. This is an area of discussion as well. We had last couple of meetings, including October's meeting. While the means and methods of dewatering are really up to the contractor, we agree with the board that some additional detail was prudent on the plans to provide the contractor with appropriate direction, as well as for the board and the public to understand what that might look like. To that end, we added what we anticipate the contractor would look to do on their own, and added essentially a basin in this area. This is the temporary basin for managing the dewatering flows. What we discussed last time was the dewatering flows following the general flow path of stormwater. We've now made it clear that while that is going off towards the southern part of the site, eventually down towards the reservoir, that needs to not flow through the stormwater treatment basin, and that's what we're intending to clarify here. That provides about 33,000 cubic feet of storage in that basin. The general permit for Massachusetts requires monitoring dewatering discharge when waters here. There's a daily inspection of dewatering operations and sampling of those discharges for turbidity and corrective actions if it exceeds a 50 NTU limit. The area of dewatering is primarily in the central part of the proposed building. On the northern side, there might be some, but that's a more shallow excavation here. And we eventually approach existing grade as we move towards the southern end of the property. So the primary dewatering operation, our deepest excavations, are in the central part of the site.
So the slabs are going to be on existing grade?
The footings will be below grade, but we are matching, pretty close, within a foot. I think or hitting exactly existing grade at the garage entrance on the southern part of the site. And we are at existing grade, maybe plus 6 inches or so on the northern part of the site. So we're getting there on the top and the bottom. We just have the middle, which is where our treatment tankage is to contend with. I think I mentioned this previously, at least the first bullet, the revised grading on the northern part of the site has changed since the last set that the board has seen. We spent some time with our electrical engineers and lighting designers to confirm that the exterior lighting for the circulation road, where we have the 20-foot high pole heights, that's dimmable to 50%, which is what will be done during non-occupied operational periods. Revisions to the landscaping plan are underway. The town planner and I had some conversations about that. We have that input, just not ready to be submitted to the board. When it does come to the board, it will show the existing trees to remain. I think we received our final tree survey from our sub-consultant this morning, which is why you don't have that. But that will be provided to the board prior to the December 14th meeting. Those landscape plan updates will include again, the location, sizes, and species of those trees that will remain outside of our limit of work, and where we are proposing new plantings that'll include some additional understory plantings, especially in that southwest corner and the northeast corner where our disturbance is closest to the abutting properties. A greater diversity of plant sizes, so it has a natural appearance of woodland transition from meadow to woodland. And some additional feedback in terms of species and composition that we've received from the town. And that final tree survey will be provided. Again, we received that this morning. That's a summary of the updates that the board sees in a combination of this packet and the next submittal that you will receive, but wanted to show some of the work that we have been doing in response to the board and public comment.
Yeah. All right, so I did briefly look at the plans today, and I think the major issues for the board obviously the landscape plan hasn't been done, that's gonna be resubmitted. They put in the separate basin for the dewatering. How big is that sump for the dewatering? And so we'll condition that the sump for the dewatering cannot go into the sump for the stormwater.
That's fine.
How big is the sump though?
It's 33,000 cubic feet.
And how big is the stormwater one?
It's larger.
Okay,
That's the temporary stormwater basin
Okay.
there.
And how much dewatering water will there be?
That, again, is also partly up to the contractor's means and methods and how much and how deep they want to go before they place the slab and the duration of it. The soils there are fairly tight. That's part of our challenge with stormwater and why we have the limits of disturbance that we have on the southern part of the site to get the infiltration that we need. So we don't expect that it will be an unmanageable amount of flow.
I guess I asked that question last time. It doesn't sound like I got any better answer than last time. Can somebody estimate how much water we're talking about? You're saying you got a sump of 33,000 cubic feet? How many gallons of water is that?
Times 7, 30 times 7. Yeah, it's, you know, that basin is sized to provide for any settling of solids. There will be flow. The piping is sized, far greater than the dewatering flow that we expect to have, and that basin is designed to make sure that any material that comes out is settled. Dewatered flows are not generally highly turbid because they filter through the soil to get to there, and that basin is designed to accommodate the flows, to allow any additional solids to settle, soil and particulates, before the piping conveyance brings it to the southern part of the site. The piping conveyance is designed for 1,000 gallons per minute. We expect the dewatering flows to be far less than that.
wait a minute, you're piping the dewatering flows to the southern part of the site?
There is a riprap outlet
There's an
from the
overflow,
basin.
there's an overflow.
Yes, yeah, what doesn't infiltrate will be piped, just as the construction stormwater flows. What doesn't infiltrate through the proposed temporary stormwater basin has an overflow.
All right, and how are you
Yeah, but
gonna
this
make
is
sure
different.
that the
You're pumping
dewatering?
groundwater up out of the excavation. So is the expectation that the groundwater gets treated to a certain level, then gets discharged to what? Wetlands?
No, it's discharged to the existing site and works its way down through the slope. The groundwater, the treatment for
Is
dewatering.
that in this, is that whole plan in here?
Yeah, it shows it on the dewatering,
Yes,
what he described.
So 1,000 gallons a minute. 60,000 gallons per hour?
yes.
And how does that get dispersed across the site so that it doesn't create a river somewhere?
Yeah, I mean, we don't expect to see that level of flow. You've asked for some quantification and the engineering design for that piping and for the riprap outfall is for that level of flow. We expect to see less than that because that will allow the contractor to maintain their permit compliance.
But you've designed the whole system for 1,000 gallons a minute.
That piece of the conveyance, yes,
So I think that's all you can anticipate as peak flow.
yes.
unless you're willing to design it to something different. It sounds like it's 1,000 gallons a minute.
Mhm.
So how does that get, well, I haven't seen the drawings, but so how does that get dispersed?
There's a riprap outlet from that, what doesn't get
Do you
infiltrated.
have a drawing you can show?
Yes,
And this is all gonna be clean water from dewatering.
correct. Slide, just want to make sure I had it.
And this new dewatering sump is not in location, or it's in the approximate location of a permanent stormwater feature too?
It is.
So you're not gonna go down, you're not gonna dig in, to the depth of you're gonna make it shallower,
Correct.
okay?
Is that what you're doing?
This area here,
Can you
yep.
blow it up? I'm sorry.
Unfortunately, I don't know that
My
I
eyes aren't that
can
good.
in this view, but I'm happy to get up to the board. This is that dewatering basin, and the overflow conveyance that we're talking about is coming to here.
So that looks like a point discharge. How does it get spread? I
Well,
mean, at 1,000 gallons a minute, that's
That's a lot.
a
Sure.
lot of water.
I mean, we have the outlet protection with the riprap here, and that heads down the slope.
Steve, wouldn't the outflow be limited by pump rate?
Absolutely.
Okay, so like, yeah, if the pump
Two different districts.
wasn't capable of over 1,000 gallons per minute, could you discharge more than 1,000 gallons per minute?
No.
Okay.
Can't get to the basin.
So how are you gonna make sure no sediment gets out at that riprap outlet?
So the Massachusetts general permit requires daily monitoring of that outfall.
Mhm.
So it's observed by inspectors on site, and when it's not in compliance, if there's erosion, and I guess I should mention that downstream of that outlet is our silt fence and erosion control barrier for the work. So we're not discharging it freely before it leaves the site. There's an additional level of containment on the site. But there is a permit requirement that we all need to abide by that ensures the quality of the water, and if it's not being met, then additional corrective measures need
Well,
to
you'll be
put in
shut
place.
down, I'll tell you
Yeah,
that.
yes, that's what
I
happens.
mean, because newer increased discharges to ORWs are prohibited,
Yes,
and that's exactly what that's gonna be looking like.
yes, it's a construction phase.
Is there any way you can make that a little bit more, like Mr. Pritchard said, of a level spreader?
Yes.
Yeah,
I mean,
something
that's gonna be,
Again, the final design of it is up to the contractor. We define.
Yeah, but the contractor's not here, right?
Clearly.
So you guys have to
Yes.
commit to something that, if the contractor decides I want a point discharge, you can't say yes. Okay, I think that's the point here, right? Is I get this, that the contractor's got means and methods and all that happy stuff, but there are limitations to what they can do. And we want to make sure whatever gets done in a way that doesn't cause damage to the surrounding wetlands and everything else, right? So, it's fine to say, because the contractor can come up with anything, right? What we need is for you guys to commit to a certain control. I think that's what we're trying to understand here.
yeah, that's what we're trying to understand, because in addition, it's not just a general permit, but we have state drinking water standards and all that kind of stuff that,
Mhm.
I mean, the planning board, we had another project on this site beforehand, and they were very, very rigid on that, and we're trying to ensure the general public of the town of Scituate that they're looking at it, and they're trying to hold every designer to accountability standards.
Well, we work for the town and work for the water department on this, so I understand the comment and water supply, that's our goal.
So the sump that you have is like 250,000 gallons of maximum 250,000 gallons of capacity. I assume there's some freeboard in that too. So it's probably not quite that much. So if you're dewatering at 60,000 gallons an hour, you probably got 4 hours or less of dewatering before you have a full
Well,
basin.
again, we don't expect that the dewatering, which is limited by the pump rate, is going to be there.
I hear you, but all we can go by is what you said you designed it to,
Understood.
right? So design it to 1,000 gallons a minute.
Which
If
we
somebody
think is
gets
excessively
into-
conservative.
If somebody gets into it where the groundwater's pretty heavy flow, they're gonna wanna go to 1,000 gallons a minute.
They're gonna
So-
wanna get that operation done and move on, because that's an expensive operation to be dewatering at that rate.
I agree, but that's defined by Mother Nature, not by you guys, right? It's gonna be whatever the groundwater flow rate is.
Yep, and again, it's a tight soiled site. We've done several borings in that area.
I think we need to look at how this is managed.
Yeah, I think we do too. I think that we'd like more information on that for the next time.
Sure.
And I really think you ought to try to look at having a level spreader there.
Thank you.
All right, so other site issues. You just said site lighting will be dimmable to 50%.
Correct.
So it's not gonna be off when no one's there, it's not gonna be off.
For security purposes, the intent is to dim it to 50% in the evening.
It can't be dimmed further.
I don't believe that that they can be, no.
How
Because,
bright is it?
Well, again, the fixtures that we have in the perimeter of the circulation, they're 20-foot high poles. They're shielded lighting, so it's downlit for the roads. There will be, security camera infrastructure on the site for protection of the building and the town's water supply. And obviously, we need some level of lighting for that to be effective. And the lighting also serves as a deterrent. So
So the safety complex is really quite dark at night in the parking lot. It's, it's really, I can't see it from my house, I should be able to, so and that does dim, but the senior center for some reason doesn't want to do that, they can't do that, so you have to absolutely ensure us that this is gonna go down, because this was an issue for another project that we did, which we are still trying to deal with.
that's what the town's stretch energy code requires, that dimmability. That's what we're designed to.
Hold you to that.
Please, yeah, it's in the
it would
plan.
seem like you should be able to experiment with lower levels as well. Because the turn down on the lights you should be able to do that. So the question is, can it be something that's set at a level that is no more than 50%, but potentially less once you get it set up and evaluated?
Sure.
Because the lights should be turned, you should be able to turn those down.
Sure. Yeah, we've designed that 50% level because that's what the stretch code requires. And ultimately, if we're able to go less than that, and I'll confirm the fixture and the control selection allows that, that's probably at the discretion of DPW as well for the safety and security of their operations.
But it can't be absolutely dark because of what it is.
No, I think that's fine, just maybe 50% is still,
The highest that we want.
It may be more than is.
maybe 30% is good,
Yeah, 25, so.
So that a potential condition would be site lighting will be dimmable to no more than 50% when not occupied.
Correct.
Right.
And that during the commissioning of it, we shall experiment at that 50% level and experiment at lower levels to see if that's sufficient. I realize they've got a lot of variables they have to meet there. And maybe it's not sufficient from a lighting point of view for the cameras, right? So, but I think somebody should just go through the exercise once they commission it.
Okay. All right, so.
Because our
ZBA
objective is to keep it as low as possible
Right,
when it's
yeah.
not occupied.
The ZBA is meeting tonight on the Heights special permit. I talked to the Board of Health, they're waiting for revised plans. As was indicated tonight, the buffer at the north part of the property, well, the limit of work has been pulled so that there's at least 90 feet to the property over there. I'm gonna just,
While you're talking about limit of work, is that the line I'm seeing here, this kind of
Yes.
yeah, the dark line, yeah.
dark line?
Yeah.
Okay. So the only thing that's going out is to the graveyard site then?
That's correct.
Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
I'm just gonna let you know now, because it's part of the zoning bylaw, you're gonna need a certification, you're not degrading the groundwater, be provided prior to a building permit. Section 520.6, number 34. We've been getting a lot of those as part of our process. Want a stamp certification.
Sure.
And so I think that's where we are right now. I would guess, does the board want to give me any other potential conditions that you're looking for, or you want me to just do a draft and send you out it?
So, Mr. McLean, well, I'm gonna defer to my engineers first. McLean?
What were the two options again? Do the draft?
Well, do you have any conditions that you definitely know right off the top of your head you want to see? Otherwise, I'm going to do draft, and I'm going to make it very similar to the public safety complex, the library, the senior center, but add special conditions in for this site.
So I don't have any, I don't know if this is a special condition, but it's a question that I have about their fence spec. So this is this goes into the aesthetics and then also the potential or the 50% lighting at all times, even at night. Your fence spec on page, I think it's,
Looking at C901.
yeah, C901, it's a 8-foot chain link.
Correct.
Is it gonna be topped with anything like cattle wire or concertina, or is it just an 8-foot fence?
I believe the top selvages are barbed, but there's no wire.
Okay. My only question, this is kind of for the board, like, there is a lot of fencing, probably 1,500 to 2,000 linear feet of fencing, and it is high. Would it be worth it, because I know the town is paying for it, to consider like a more aesthetically pleasing type of security fencing, or do like a black chain link fencing,
Definitely
maybe with
black.
slats?
Definitely black if you go with chain link, right?
And then if you put slatting into the fence, that will cut down on some of the reflected glare off of cars and buildings. So I guess going towards conditions, that's one that I was thinking of, but.
There's kind of two different directions though, right? You do black because you kind of want the fence to disappear, right? If you put slats in it, then the fence is there, right?
True.
So,
Yeah.
so it's sort of saying, which of the two do we want? Do we want sort of light barrier, or do we want the fence to kind of look like it's going away?
Well, like on Toll Brothers, the back of Toll Brothers, they used chain link fence, and they had kind of the slatting
Yeah,
as a construction fence.
as a construction fence. I'm talking about permanent.
Right,
I
but this
think Bob's
is
talking
gonna be
about
permanent in the back there where it is. I mean, I don't know what the cost differential is between just a regular black chain link fence and this slatting.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like PVC slatting that goes through.
yeah, no, definitely. I know exactly what you're talking about, yeah.
And that would cover, like, it would at least keep out of public view the operations going on with inside. That's why I was asking about the fence spec, because of the, the secure nature of the building, and, how do we kind of keep the public view out of it, maintain aesthetics, et cetera.
Is that the objective of the DPW here? To obscure the operations from public view?
We certainly, Yes.
I'm just asking.
yeah,
what
I mean,
the-
we want to make, we're not looking for this to be a high visibility facility.
Right.
You know, we're not lighting it up like it's a destination, in terms of road signage, you know, it's an address. And
But you're using chain link, so
we need some
You're not-
security.
but you're not putting a visible barrier
We
to
have,
the operation then.
we're doing it with vegetation. We want to achieve that low visibility. Look through, just for context. And it's different than the spec, but just so that the board is aware, the limits of that fencing is this line here.
Yep.
And then coming back around, another security gate, and then terminating at the building. So the front face of the building is the secure perimeter here, and that the gates and the fencing is essentially for the rear operations, so. I believe it's the black PVC coating, really to minimize the visibility of that fence. If sliding is added, I guess I would say, are there, you know, kind of select areas or maybe along the rear portion where that might be more appropriate than.
And I would agree with that you want to keep it for the neighbors, right?
Well, yeah, so minimize like the visibility of the operations of the plant to the neighbors, not because we can't let them see in, but just so that they don't have to
Look at
look at it, yeah.
I was going the other direction, is whether the operators of the plant really wanted the operation sort of immediately visible to the general public. I'm thinking more from a security point of view than anything else.
Well, yeah, no, that too, because there are a lot of chemicals and, and stuff in there, so do you really want to keep the goings on within there, away from just overwatch, I guess, potentially.
We can revisit that comment with the water department and DPW and see what their preference is. The majority of the operations here are all interior to the building. There's cars that come and go, equipment that comes and goes, deliveries that come and go, but the operations are interior. There isn't fabrication or any other kind of external activities on any kind of regular basis, just maintenance activities.
I mean, we are all well aware that this needs to be, people need to know it's there, but people don't need to know it's there. Like, it's kind of like people know where the wells are, but we don't tell people where the wells are. That type of
Exactly.
thing. Not everybody knows where the wells are.
Maybe that's just something rather than a condition. You
Yeah,
come back next time and just tell us how you want to do it, right?
I'll discuss it with DPW tomorrow too,
Yeah,
or
that'd be good.
Monday, I'll discuss with DPW.
But I do think the chain link fence, whatever you use, should be the black fence.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Anything else?
No, that's.
Rebecca?
Nope.
Mr. Pritchard, anything else?
I'm not sure, you may have addressed this in the latest package, but the wall pack lights are now down lights?
Yes.
Did we say that? Okay. It'll take me a while to go through all my notes, Karen, so I'll send you a list of things that,
Okay,
maybe ought to be addressed.
okay, that sounds great.
I would want to memorialize things like, the noise signature is going to be, well below 65.
Right,
those kind of
that
things.
I've already put in.
I figured you would, so I'll just go through my
Okay.
notes and
That'd be great.
send you a list. But I do think we need a better understanding of this dewatering operation.
We'll provide that to the board.
What are you gonna do with the old water treatment plant?
Not much.
Sorry?
What are you gonna do with the old water treatment plant?
Eventually it'll be demolished.
It will be demolished.
That's, I believe, the town's plan. It's my understanding.
But not the building that houses the offices right now. That building is staying.
I
It has
believe
to
that's
stay till they
the,
build a new one, right?
Well, I know that. I mean, we're putting all this money into rehabbing it because there was an accident, somebody smashed it. So I couldn't figure out why they were fixing that if it was going to be taken down.
I'm talking about the treatment plant itself.
That's
Yeah.
right.
that is slated for.
Is that part of this project?
Yes,
The demolition is?
yes. At this time it is. But as we continue to review the cost estimates and everything that we have, the extent of demolition that may or may not occur and the timetable for it may shift a little bit.
That's your
Next
contingency bucket.
Huh? You know, but, yeah, they patched the building, obviously. But we've surveyed, we've done all the work necessary to determine what's in or not in the buildings. Demolition is currently in the scope of work.
But our site plan review has nothing to do with that. We're not addressing that scope of work at
I
all.
just wanted to know if it was coming down
Okay.
or not. Yes. That's all, that was my question. What about the brick building? The one at the Rotary, is that going to stay or
That's
is,
the other.
Yes. where's that going?
There's a pump station right at the Rotary, a small brick building. That remains, that's how water gets from Old Oaken Bucket up to the new treatment
No,
plant.
but how about when Nora and Linda work? Is
The
that staying?
office,
It's a historic,
Gone,
so it's not being demolished.
it's gone.
what?
It's historic.
That little brick building is his,
I'm just wondering, so where the office is now, the building that got hit and is being refurbished, that building is going to remain standing?
The offices are
Steve,
moving to the.
Steve,
we know the offices are
We
moving.
know that.
But what are you gonna do
Time
with
out.
the building?
When we looked at all that stuff at the beginning, we didn't identify any historic structures.
I don't believe so.
No.
We did a survey of all this. None of the structures there were deemed to be, are deemed to be historic or listed as historic. And so the plan is, we're gonna leave the existing pump station, we're gonna rehab it. It's gonna be a small, there's gonna be a generator on a pad next to it, because we have to have emergency power for those pumps. And the remainder of the buildings are gonna come down.
Okay, just seems like we're spending a lot of money for a building that's being removed, that's all I just said. Okay, that's all I wanted to know. I know.
Right, but some people have to work in that building right now. You
I
have to
know.
understand that. People have to work there right now.
In the brick building?
I didn't know there were people still in there.
People still have to work in that building. There's not enough room for them everywhere else.
Okay.
The
just
only
wondering.
only the administrative assistants are at town hall.
Okay, that's all, that's a little
Just
information.
asking.
Just asking. Anything else from the board? Anything from the public? Your name and address, please.
Bruce Arbery's 23 Gannett Pasture Lane, also Chair of the Water Resource Commission, so I'm very interested in protecting our reservoir system. I did have a question on the dewatering slide, if you get back to that one. And the discharge from your 33,000 cubic foot. Isn't there another catch basin? Vertically above?
You're talking this?
Yeah, that.
Sure. This is the stormwater, the temporary stormwater basin for the site. And this is the dewatering basin for the site.
Okay, so you wouldn't feed one to the other?
We would want to make sure that this is preserved for its purpose of treating stormwater from the site. And that's why we've separated, made clear to the contractor that the two have to be separate.
Okay, but you can't use the larger one for overflow from the small one?
If that's done, it needs to be in a very controlled way because we need that capacity for storm events.
We're not gonna overflow that one.
Yeah,
That's gonna need to be a condition of operation. You can't operate that in an overflow condition. And since you've designed it very conservatively, should never have to.
Correct.
But I think that should be a condition.
I think I put it already as a
Yeah.
condition.
okay. Thank you.
Tricia Butler, 439 Chief Justice Cushing Highway. Do you know where the entrance is at the bottom of the hill? There's an entrance, a wide entrance, some of it's been cleared. Is that the exit of the new treatment plant? There's a whole area, and now they're storing all the equipment, a lot of the equipment for the paving and stuff. It goes back quite a way.
That entrance was there, before the Route 38 project began.
I know.
They, to my knowledge, they didn't cut any trees down and make that bigger. Her question is, where is that in relation to what you're showing right now?
Is that the exit or is it below the exit?
I think it's right around the exit, but I need to look at the existing conditions real quick.
Because they have cleared stuff back in there, not recently. You can hear them when they're in there.
Yeah, what back there?
Excuse me?
I didn't hear what you said.
I said because like 2 years ago, right after the whole thing was approved, and they were in there for quite a while, and you can hear the clearing stuff, whether it's bushes, whatever, but you can hear the equipment in there. So they have cleared.
There were some borings. They did some borings.
Yeah.
Soil borings?
There was
Yeah,
borings
soil
or something?
borings or test pits,
Right.
percolation tests both for the proposed stormwater as well as for the septic. I believe that entrance is just north of this wetland, so it's a little bit south of where the proposed entrance is to be, or the exit is to be.
Mike Gibson, Milford 2, Old Forge Road. So the admin building right now, it is a historic building, it's not gonna be knocked down, everything else will. I talked to the town administrator, we can, similar presentation at capital planning, so that's helpful. So the buffer, the non-disturbance zone, so you mentioned tonight, Mr. Robbins, that it is possible to do 40 feet down by my house, right, but we're not entertaining that. I know 10 feet doesn't sound like a lot, but right now I have a forest behind my house, not a completely cleared area, so 10 feet would be a significant difference, be a 30% increase from what you've given me right now. So I would be interested to hear more about that. I do have a concern, we're more concerned about the buffer right now with 3A than the neighbors. And I guess, so a couple questions. My question for the board, so last meeting I raised many public meetings where the applicant stated that nothing would be disturbed within 50 feet. It's obviously not what they're presenting now, so I'm curious if the board plans to hold them to the 50 feet.
No,
Or
there's a confusion on that.
There's a little confusion on that issue. I've talked to the town administrator on this. The town administrator said he made no promises for a 50-foot buffer. Some of this was done before the actual design of the stormwater system. There is no requirement for a buffer in the bylaw. There's a 30-foot building setback. And so then they're not going in the 30-foot except where the cemetery is. But the town administrator said that he did not make that promise and that, it was before the building was fully designed and the stormwater system was designed.
no, I'm aware of this, nothing will be done within 50 feet. So no one went back and looked at the recorded meetings that I mentioned. And I gave some quotes, they were just direct, it was nothing will be done within 50 feet.
I sent an email to the town administrator and asked him to comment on that, and this is what he told me. He made no promises that it would absolutely be 50 feet. He said they would do their best to make it a big a buffer as possible.
Okay, that's what again, so it's July 13th, 2022, August 23rd, 2022.
I did, I sent him the times that you said.
I'm aware, I'm providing it for the board in case they want to look as well, because Rob Little from Blue Current was another representative who made those statements, so. Again, I'm just curious, those comments were made, I'd like to know what's gonna be done with them. Stormwater runoff, so I was hoping some of this would be solved if we actually moved to the 50 feet, as was said. But, so right now, all the stormwater for the site is being pushed back toward my property. Right now, we don't have a lot of flooding from that site, really none. If this stormwater plant doesn't work or it overflows and my yard floods, what happens? What's my recourse?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure I understand your question.
So
Are you saying the basin ruptures or I'm not sure I understand?
Right, so all the stormwater from the site right now, right? So right now it flows down toward the reservoir. everything that a significant amount of land.
It goes into
There-
a retention basin.
So I understand that we're all moving into that one area. If that overflows and floods and it's not sufficient, and I flood out because they can't manage the stormwater.
Well, if
What's
it's
the
over
recourse?
100-year storm,
We're all flooding.
then you're probably, you're probably gonna see that. It's designed to up to 100-year storm, right? And so if the design doesn't work, well, we've had it peer reviewed and all of that, so.
But water's gonna run downhill. I don't know, I don't understand how it would spread out in where your property is. If water runs perpendicular to the contours, I don't understand how it would get over to your property.
Okay.
But it's not designed to do that anyway.
It's not designed to do that.
Yeah.
It's not designed to increase the volumetric flow to your property, right? Or the velocity.
So I
Right.
understand that conceptually, my question is, right, if you look at the size of downhill right now, where all the water goes, you're pushing it back to a point to there.
Into a giant retention pond that would then disperse it. If we get to
Into
that
detention,
point,
right, it's a detention.
detention,
yeah.
So it's supposed to percolate.
It has infiltration
If-
capability.
Exactly.
if that floods, we're all gone. I mean, really, that's a massive flood. And
Depends
that's
on
what,
those that are coming to visit.
this is designed, it would be like Andover or Lebanon,
Yes.
something just totally.
Catastrophic. And it's
Catastrophic.
just nothing.
You can design for that forever, but it's just one of those things.
Okay, so there's no requirement for the contractor for Woodard and Curran to fix any sort of flooding if that occurs.
There's a requirement for him to make his stormwater system work as designed. That's the requirement.
And if
Gotcha.
it doesn't
And the
work,
design has been demonstrated on paper, says that it's designed all the way up to the 100-year storm, which is what we require. So if we get into it and it's not performing the way they said it would, then yes, they have to address that.
We usually have a condition now that we put on projects that says if the stormwater system isn't functioning as designed or goes to the street or something, or to an abutting property, they have to fix it. So we do put a condition.
Okay, thank you, that's helpful. And one final thing, and I get a comment or thing to the board. I would think maybe a worthwhile condition for this would be that the limit of work is clearly staked out and marked.
It will be,
So,
that's a standard condition,
Great,
standard condition.
thank you very much.
Do you want to, if there's anyone online that would like to make any comments, you can do that at this time. We're in public comment period. You can raise your hand on the bottom of your screen, on your Zoom screen. And we are happy to unmute you so that you can provide comment. I don't see anybody. But you can continue on. If someone pops up, I'll let you know.
Could I just ask a question, because I'm going back to that, the difference between 30 and 40 feet. Remind me what you said would have to happen to get to 40 feet from 30.
So the grading in that portion of the site is designed with a 4-on-1 slope, which is
Yeah.
what the town requires in the wetland protection, the water,
So you'd have to
watershed
make it
protection
steeper.
code. So we would have to make it steeper.
Yeah.
And that's how you tighten up that slope by a few feet, but it requires the grading to not comply with town code.
And that's right in the zoning bylaw, that it's
Yeah.
supposed to be 4-1.
No, I don't think we want to change that.
Can I ask one follow-up to that?
sure,
Is it possible to push it 10 feet closer to 3A?
design.
Push.
No. Not without increasing the slope to 301 on that side instead. Or, let me get back to that, I don't know if I have. I don't have it.
Did we ask Mr. Kasha what happened at his meeting? No? No. Okay, never mind. So anybody online, no?
I don't see any hands online.
Do we have a piece of paper that says continuing?
You do. Are you all done?
So
The
The next-
contested area, is that just on the western side of the site where the limited work goes to the 30-foot buffer.
This is distribution.
So that's 30, and like, the limited work comes almost perpendicular to the elevation lines, like, how does that then change what the, the overall grading of the site is, you're pushing away from the abutter's property by 10 feet to make it 40 feet or 20 feet to make it 50 feet.
Can you repeat that? I just want to make sure I'm following the question.
Well, so the limited work on, that's kind of in question.
I'm gonna point up here just so I'm making sure I'm following. This area here.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's, like, that limited work, how does that, because if you push the limit of work closer to the proposed infiltration pond by 10 or 20 feet, it's running perpendicular to the elevation lines. So how would that then change the grading
It's grading of the
on
basin.
the site? Does that?
Just watch yourself down.
Thank you. Because then we would have to tighten up this slope to be able to meet those existing contours.
Okay, so these elevation lines are pre-fill elevation.
The gray within this area is existing and the darker is proposed.
Okay.
So you're asking if
You
it
move
tightened
it
up?
forward, you gotta, in order to keep the same basin and all that.
Correct.
You've gotta have steeper slope to tie into the existing grade.
Correct. If I pull this back, then I have to meet those contours further in from the site, and that have to increase the slope. And to Mr. Gibson's comment about the other side in 3A, we do have a 50-foot zone along 3A as a scenic corridor. And so the same 4-on-1 slope that we have on this side, we end up kind of pushing and pulling on either side to that boundary.
One's a highway, one's neighbors, but
One's
Can I-
required.
Steve, I want to try to help out here. What we're looking at here is a temporary construction situation in order to remove enough of the existing vegetation to build this slope. Unfortunately, you don't have the revised landscape plan in front of you, but that side slope is going to be revegetated so that there will be quite a, we're gonna knock it down to less than 50 feet during construction. We're giving back, I haven't seen the plan yet, Steve, but we've got to be getting back.
Planting plan
10 to
comes
50
back
years.
into this area here with a mix of, deciduous, coniferous, yes, and understory plantings, exactly for that view shed from the property. I mean, it's the furthest property from the building, but we are coming into this area and appropriately restoring the vegetation that would be disturbed during construction.
So, Mr. Gibson, what you need to be aware of is that while it's under construction, it's not gonna look like what it's done. That's what we need to remember is that, while it looks a little naked, a little bare, and a little rough, when they're completed, it will be vegetated again. And it will not be left like it is for however long it takes. You have to just kind of bear with that for a while, okay?
Could I ask one more question, just because you pulled this up and I'm looking at this. I'm not sure we talked much about the, I forget what you call it, the drainage basin or the drying basin or whatever it is.
Sure.
What's the process for removing solids and managing like spills and all that kind of stuff that the solids that have to come out of that basin, I guess, have to go into a truck. But how do you manage them so they don't end up getting spilled all over the driveway and end up getting washed into drains or stormwater systems and all that?
So the material that goes into that basins is the material that's removed by the clarifiers and are backwashed from the filters in the treatment plant. They go to those sand drying beds where water is taken off the surface and that flows then through, or in addition to kind of taking it off the surface, the supernatant water will flow down through a sand drying layer or a sand layer and into piping, and then is pumped back to the head of the plant. So that's how we achieve kind of a
Yeah, the
liquid
water
discharge.
system, yeah, that I understood, I just trying to figure out how the solids get dealt with.
Sure. They're designed each to have a year of use and then a year of drying. It's most economical to remove those materials when they are dried. They dry at between 10 and 15% solids. So it's not a wet material that's being removed from those. They're not designed to be lagoons where you're removing slurry. This is dry material that is excavated, loaded onto a truck, and removed from the site periodically. On an annual basis, one of those would be cleaned out at peak flow usage.
And so how did they do that and not particularly dry stuff,
Sure.
get it all over the place?
Sure. The area where that loading would primarily happen is within the boundary of that sand drying bed area. So we're not kind of loading it in a place where it's going to wash off. If there's anything that misses the truck, it's going back into the basin because we're loading it out of the basin itself.
So the truck gets pulled
Correct.
into the basin?
Correct. Adjacent to, yes. Yep. The general circulation on that would be, to bring those vehicles down, we have kind of a top of wall and circulation space around the basin to be able to access, to load up and move out and off site.
So that's what I'm asking. So the trucks are on the flat portions of
Yes.
the basin. They're not on the driveways or anything like that.
Only for passage in and out.
Well, yeah, and
Yep.
I'm thinking for loading.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
This side of the basin does end in this stormwater pond here as well. So kind of all of this stormwater from this paved area remains on site.
Something else, Stephanie?
You all set, Steve?
So the next meeting
Yeah,
is
just
going to be on December 14th, where we'll have to do a decision.
I move to accept the applicant's request to continue the public hearing on the site plan administrative review and stormwater permit for the Stearns Meadow Water Treatment Plant at 453 Chief Justice Cushing Highway until December 14th, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. and to continue the time for action for filing with the town clerk until December 22, 2023.
Second by Rebecca, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So given that we're looking at a decision on the 14th, can we just make sure we get this other feedback, particularly on the dewatering and all that?
Yeah.
Long before that?
I'll push for it. I mean,
I'm just
as soon as we
suggesting we
get
push
some,
everybody.
as soon as we get something, we'll send it out. I mean, we'll send out the electronic file of what came in today, tomorrow. And then as soon as we get other information in, we'll send it out. And I will send you a draft decision, before the meeting as well.
I think the goal should be that like there's no last minute surprises on the 14th.
That's why, yeah.
There can't be any last minute surprises on it.
Right, because we won't address them, and then we'll have to kick the can down the road, right?
Right.
So-
We can't do that, right, we don't have that kind of time.
Not our expectation.
Yeah.
If we're not able to get it to the board in sufficient time, then we're back in January.
Okay. All right, thank you very much, we'll see you in, have a nice holiday, and see you in December.
Bring cookies.
Thank you all for your time.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Christmas. The next thing is the MBTA.
Nothing really new to report on MBTA. There's nothing really new to report on MBTA. We're definitely going, We've written a draft legal ad, it's the same stuff that I've told you about. We're getting ready to file our, mixed-use districts. By the first week in December, we want to file for the mixed-use districts and file our draft compliance application. So we're trying to get a preliminary reading if they're gonna approve it before town meeting. So we're working pretty hard on getting that done. We hope to have everything from our consultant, this week for the compliance model and all the markup of the zoning. So it's progressing very well.
Planning and development?
We're busy.
Do you want them?
Yeah, that's.
I'll entertain a motion at 8:00. So moved.
All in favor? Thank you, good night.
Thank you. Brianna, we're all set.
Okay, all set. Have a good holiday, everyone.
Thank you, you
You too.
too.
Thank you.
Have a good night.